Alright, so I just got done watching tonight's Raw full live for the first time in like 4 years. That's the last time that I posted up a Raw review, and since then I haven't watched a full episode of Raw live. I've just been checking out the segments that I missed, skipping some stuff, and watching this one, I've got to say that I was like, oh, I can kind of see why I didn't bother watching Raw live again. Instead, I'd watch the highlights on YouTube or things like that. And I'd save, the full shows or watch just the full pay-per-views live. But as far as Raw and SmackDown, I've been, skipping those for a good while. Even though I hear that SmackDown has been pretty good. And I saw a couple weeks back, Raw seemed really good. And SmackDown too. And that kind of gave me, the want to go ahead and try this out again. But this week's Raw was bad, man. I'm pretty sure last week's was better, a lot better than this. Honestly, out of all the matches on there, I don't think there was one great match. There was maybe some good matches. Seth Rollins versus Drew was okay, and actually, surprisingly, Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews was okay too. But the rest of the stuff was all pretty boring. And on top of that, the announcement, Kurt Angle was supposed to make his big announcement for his WrestleMania opponent. A ton of us were speculating John Cena, Jason Jordan, and there were a bunch of other names that people wanted to see as well. But the two big names that people were talking about were Cena or Jordan. I made a video myself saying that Cena would be a perfect fit because they're in Chicago, they're in the same arena that John Cena and Kurt Angle had their first match. And he makes the announcement, and it is the most disappointing announcement of an opponent ever. You could hear the crowd. The crowd was like, excited. There was quiet. They wanted to hear who Kurt Angle was gonna choose. And then as soon as he announced the opponent, boo. It was, like I said, to me, one of the most disappointing announcements ever. He announces that he's gonna take on, of all people, Baron Corbin at WrestleMania. That's gonna be his last opponent. He says that there's a ton of opponents he'd like to face, but the one person that he'd like to beat up the most is Baron Corbin because of their history as, GM and this and that, and Corbin taking his GM spot. What Kurt Angle pretty much forgot about Baron Corbin for the longest time. We didn't hear about Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin for months now. That thing's been done, and Kurt Angle had moved on. He had done other things. We hadn't heard Kurt Angle mention Corbin. Corbin was busy with Braun Strowman, this and that. Now you decide to bring this feud back for WrestleMania, and we're gonna have to watch Corbin versus Kurt Angle. And the surprising thing is that on Raw, they actually mentioned or brought up that the crowd was disappointed with that the people online are complaining that they're having Corbin versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. So that maybe gives me a little bit of hope that maybe they change it. Maybe they're trolling us. Maybe John Cena comes out next week or the week after and attacks Corbin, or they have the match before WrestleMania and Cena takes his spot. That would be great. That would be the best possible scenario, but they've already got the WrestleMania graphic for it ready to go. They've shown it. I feel like the match is actually gonna go ahead and take place, unfortunately. So yeah, looks like Kurt Angle's last match is gonna be against Baron Corbin. I saw somebody say that he feels bad for Kurt Angle. I kind of feel the same way. That's his last match of his big career, and it's against Corbin. But anyways, aside from that big disappointment, another thing that was supposed to take place on this Raw was Brock Lesnar showing up. He did show up, but he didn't do much. He pretty much didn't do anything at all, or anything big. So basically, we had the old, Heyman promo, Heyman cutting a promo, addressing Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins said that Brock Lesnar has a problem basically with high flyers. It's like his, it's like his weakness, when it comes to Pokemon, fire Pokemon, their weakness is water Pokemon. Brock Lesnar's weakness apparently is high flyers, even though he's beaten every single high flyer that he's taken on since his return. And actually, the people that he's lost to are the big guys. But anyways, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, promo time. Paul Heyman does the talking, and Brock Lesnar just stays there. And then, he got interrupted by Drew McIntyre, and then Seth Rollins attacked Drew McIntyre, and then at the end of the show, Brock Lesnar distracts Seth Rollins, and Rollins loses the match to Drew McIntyre via Claymore kick or via distraction, and then gets hit by the Claymore kick. So that was it as far as Brock Lesnar goes. He didn't attack Seth Rollins or anything like that. He didn't get attacked by Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins tried to, but he just got out the ring. So there was no physicality with Brock Lesnar, and he didn't do any talking at all. It was just Paul Heyman. So nothing great there. But unfortunately, that wasn't just it when it came to disappointments. Unfortunately for me, there were a lot of disappointments in this Monday's Raw. Finn Balor was supposed to have a mystery opponent to take on Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush in a tag team match. Now, let me say this upcoming disappointment is kind of my fault, because I expected something different because of a comment one of you guys left on one of my videos recently. So somebody in the comment section was like, hey, this certain superstar is returning from injury and is going to team up, or is going to be Finn Balor's mystery opponent. I was like, oh, hey, if he's returning from injury this Monday on Raw, well, hey, I'd like to see that. That'd be cool. So I was expecting that superstar, or at least somebody else. But it turned out to be Braun Strowman. So that was disappointing. The superstar that I thought it might be was Sami Zayn, a returning Sami Zayn to team up with Finn to take on Bobby and Lio. But like I said, ended up being Braun. I mean, at the end of the match, Bobby Lashley ditched Lio Rush, the same guy that helped him win the Intercontinental Championship. So that's obviously leading to a breakup between the two. Not sure when it's gonna happen. Initially, when I saw what happened with the match, I was thinking, okay, maybe they're doing this. They brought out Braun as Finn's partner, so maybe at Mania it's Bobby versus Braun for the IC title. But then later on in the show, Braun announces that he's going to participate in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So maybe Bobby versus Lio at WrestleMania, I'm not sure, but that's also a big mismatch. We've seen Bobby clearly manhandle Lio Rush like he's absolutely no competition to him, so that'd be kind of weird. Don't know where they're going with that. But aside from that, one thing that I was looking forward to while watching it is they announced that, hey, Batista is going to be on, and he's going to cut a promo, or he's going to have an interview regarding Triple H. He's going to give his side of the story. You know, I enjoyed this segment, Batista's interview, but at the same time, they used Batista's 2010 exit when he left the company the first time as like his... The reason why he wants to go after Triple H, and that he left in 2010 because of Triple H, because Triple H thought he couldn't be at the top as a star, this and that. But I don't think Triple H had that kind of an influence at that time. And also, I'm pretty sure in interviews during that time, Batista stated otherwise, and that he left because he didn't like the PG programming, this and that. So I feel like they should have used him leaving in 2014 and said that that's why he's targeting Triple H, because in 2014, when he left, his last segment was with Triple H, and then storyline-wise, he actually left because of Triple H. Triple H was bossing him around after they lost the Shield for the second time, and he wanted another match with the Shield, while Batista wanted his World Heavyweight Championship match, and he was telling Triple H, give me the championship match, and Triple H was refusing to give him that title match, so Batista went ahead and quit right then and there. So I just don't get why they used him leaving the first time for the storyline as opposed to the second time, which would have been much more fitting, because it was actually storyline-wise because of Triple H that he quit in 2014. So, aside from that, I did enjoy the segment. He did bring up some points that people would agree with, that Triple H would use people as his muscle, or use people in like DX and Evolution and this and that. But moving on to the other big thing on Raw, Ronda versus Dana Brooke. This was either going to be a squash match, or a match where Dana actually gets some surprise offense in. Ended up being a squash match. They basically did the repeat of Asuka versus Dana Brooke, that one match where as soon as it started, Dana Brooke got put in the arm lock by Asuka really smoothly, and the match was over right then and there. Pretty much the same thing, except a bit slower, took longer for the match to end. Still a really short match, but just not as quick as Asuka versus Dana. And there was no Becky or Charlotte or anything. After the match, Ronda actually attacks some security, and her husband helps her, which I thought was weird. Is he gonna get involved now? Is he gonna get signed or something like that? I'm not sure if that's the direction they're going, or if he's maybe gonna team up with her at some point, or if it's just to get more heat on Ronda. Who knows? But I don't know if I've said this before or not, as far as Ronda goes, not the biggest fan of Ronda. One thing I really don't like is that mean face she puts on. It just looks like a kid that's angry whenever she does that mean face. Anyways, that's pretty much it, man. As far as, I'm not going to go over all the results, go match by match, and whatever happened in the match, this and that. I'm not giving these 40-minute reviews anymore. And I just went through what caught my attention the most, for better or for worse. The highlights, the bad lights, I guess, those are what I went over here. As far as a rating for this Raw, I'd give it like between a 4.5 to 5. You know what, we'll just give it a 5. I thought it sucked. It didn't do a good job at getting me excited for the upcoming pay-per-view, Wrestlemania. Instead, it kind of took away some of that excitement, especially with the Baron Corbin announcement. Hopefully SmackDown tomorrow is going to be much better. I know there's a gauntlet match. Hopefully Kofi wins, and if he doesn't win, either way, we know he's going to get the match at Mania somehow. With that said, let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of Raw. Am I in the minority here that didn't like this Raw, or am I in the majority? Let me know in the comments. With that said, I'm out. See ya.